Welcome back to the Backyard Professor Responds videos. So I found a discussion on Reddit. yeah, I get it. They're most of the stuff they do are pretty hasty, skeptical, spotty, whatever adjective you want to throw out at them. But this particular discussion ended up surprisingly somewhat informative. And so I'm sitting here in my living room and I decided, I'm going to share this, just a couple of highlights on this in this most remarkable subject, this really weird woo subject. And this is my psychology that I'm trying to, what do I say, heal. I don't feel like I'm psychologically damaged. I realize some of you think I belong in a loony house right now. That's all good. This is a tough field. This is part of our psychological preparation. But when we discover that the White House, the military, people are using psionics, telepathy, remote viewing. I mean, Hal Puthoff, Lou Elizondo claimed at one time he was a remote viewer, etc. Well, this stuff gets pretty deep. And it is all because of the UFOs, the UAPs, for the reason that so many witnesses have described just that small slit of a mouth in the beings when they encounter them. And they don't see their mouth moving, and yet they're communicating with them through their minds, telepathically. Let me read a couple of ideas here that I think this is really interesting. I get it, but is there any part of you that says, no way? I mean, people controlling UAP with brain powers. Part of me honestly feels like this dude is a plant to completely derail the topic. If it's true, holy cow. But man, it just sounds so out there. Now, that's a typical response. Yeah. It is out there. I mean, the whole idea of the UFO is out there, but this is really something. So, after giving it some thought, these recent what would you call them? Psionic revelations. They're not that out of line with all of the stuff the CIA and the KGB have been doing with their psychic spy programs, and the Stargate program and the Gateway experience and all of that. It would explain why so many people have done UAP science, have also been associated with parapsychology programs. It would really explain why Bigelow went from researching UFOs to researching the continuation of consciousness after death. Ditto for Leslie Kean. I mean, this seems like kind of a weird non sequitur, but wait, you went from researching anomalous technological vehicles to researching the afterlife? What is that all about? But with the psionic thing and the consciousness aspect of all this, this all begins to gel. Now it's becoming a little bit more sensible. It also makes sense of all the high strangeness and consciousness effects that people like John Mack and John Keel and Jacques Vallée have been investigating. It would also explain why there are so many people with eccentric beliefs, like they've been in contact with the angels or the demons or whatever, aliens, you name it, who have been involved with leaps in technological process and progress. That's the angle that Diane Pasulka has been working on. It also lines up with everyone hinting at there being a strong consciousness aspect for so long. There's a long-standing tradition of woo in ufology circles, especially in the contactee circles. And this is one reason for the stigma. This is one reason why they have been so mocked and vilified. But now it turns out that our government and our military have been doing the same thing, but no one's vilifying them. So what gives, see? This is so remarkably interesting. Well, almost all of them have talked about there being a metaphysical or a consciousness aspect that is integral to the phenomenon. Greer has been getting this part of it consistently right for decades, and he's been taking it in the teeth for it, but he's been getting it right. And just recently, within the last few days, Jacob Barber has also backed that up, because now him and his team are being able to summon the UFOs with this psionic capability. So his explanation of the craft being piloted by consciousness, while the occupants might be some kind of unconscious drones, also makes sense of all the claims that some of the pilots, say the Greys, are biological robots more than conscious living beings. And this also has the capacity to explain David Grush's biologics, terminology that stood out as weirdly vague. It also makes perfect sense now why Lou Elizondo would want to go to the Vatican of all places. This is what makes Danny Sheehan so fascinating to listen to, with his vast reservoir of knowledge and so-called cuckoo talk. Cuckoo talk may not be so cuckoo when it comes to talking to the UFOs anymore or communicating with them. So UFOs exist and there are aliens. This explains, it now makes sense, and it explains that people were saying before that it was disruptive to world religions. I should say so in many regards. This isn't world-shattering, shocking, and isn't by itself going to sow chaos in world religions, however. That's why it seemed kind of silly. So I thought of it rather dismissively. Some fundamentalist Muslims or Christians, Orthodox Jews might be upset that there is being life elsewhere in the universe, and so what? They'll get over it. I didn't understand what the fuss was about, but UFOs are real. They are physical manifestations of potentially metaphysical entities, and humans have latent psychic abilities and can connect with and summon these potentially metaphysical entities, and even telepathically hijack their UFOs and astral project and remote view. Well, that's definitely destabilizing, regardless of the religion, right? So that actually does seem like something religious leaders would be legitimately concerned about. And this is crazy because we're in the world of the medieval thinking of angels versus demons almost, right? You know, Dan Brown's point of view in his fantastically interesting and spooky novels. Yeah. The whole psionic thing jives perfectly with why Collins' elite types, otherwise high-functioning, rational people in positions of power and influence, tell people like Lou, no, it's demonic, stop looking into it. That now makes sense. But in hindsight, connecting all the dots and seeing all the threads, it's been staring us in the face all along. Now that is entirely intriguing, and actually this is the angle that we're going to have to keep going on, because this is the angle that has the highest probability of function between us and the UFOs. Welcome to the woo world of extraterrestrial beings, of UFOs, of beings who also, different species, may not be extraterrestrial, but be from this earth, but they still communicate telepathically. It's a bizarre world, and we're going to have to start getting used to it, because this is what we're facing. So thanks for watching my Backyard Professor Responds videos. There's a lot more to come out as I find time. In the meantime, I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I will catch up to you soon.